how he's gonna do. Down in the bottom left, he is DisK from Root Gaming.
What a glorious beard. I had no idea that he had a beard like that. In the top right, with a glorious shirt, he is the blue Protoss, Mcanning.
So Zombie Grub, I know Wardy and you were talking a little bit about it, but I do think it has to be brought up here because, you know, we're at the point where Mcanning is undefeated in Group A here with a group like Neeb and Scarlet and everything. Cyril has never played Mcanning in a tournament series ever in his life. A lot of people are talking about Cyril versus Maru. Can we even discuss Cyril as an actual GOAT when he's never played Mcanning? You know, actually, I have to say, like, I told Mcanning, I'm going to draft you for the War Chest Team League. And he said, Ravi, no, can't let you do that. Look, StarCraft is booming. This Cyril kid doing really well. This Raynor kid doing pretty well for himself. I can't dash the dreams. Can't dash the dreams of the people. Said Ravi, I love you. I'd love to just win the War Chest Team League for you, but you gotta do this yourself. And you know, Mcanning turned me down. But man, it's so great to see him still showing up for the people here. Showing up for the people here in DreamHack.
You know, I know it's my job as the co-commentator to just play off of you and keep the show going.
I'm waiting for you to shut me down, actually. I'm gonna keep doing it until you do.
We're best buddies, and I think it's really fun. And I didn't hear enough about the Mcanning being a god yesterday from Morty and Kalaris, and I really wanted to hear more of it today from Fear Dragon. I know I got to do that, but also, no.
Okay, but Zombie Grub, did you see the way that Mcanning used the probe for the sprays? Did not unaccelerate for a moment's time. Look at that look at that literal swagger of the probe. Unbelievable.
Did you listen to me complain to Wardy about you doing this to me during the qualifiers? Of course, that's why you're doing it.
Oh my god. See, here's the thing, Zombie Grub, is normally you can just literally like stop reading my Discord messages, or you can just hang up the call on me. Right now, you are literally paid to be here, so you actually have to listen to me. There's no escape.
I feel like I could really, I feel like I got some clout with production, all right? I feel like they'd be a little on my side. I feel like they're a little tired of you too. I think I could actually swing it to shut you up, mute you.
Fear Dragon's microphone seems to be breaking up, guys. Sorry, it's gonna be a Zombie Grub solo cast. Talk about this game really quickly. It is actually a big difference here in the opening. We have the double stalker opening versus the quadruple adept opening. There are two more stalkers making their way across the map over here for DisK. And very similar to how that PvP went with MaxPax versus Petit Drogo, it is going to be a similar situation with the unit composition, but the adepts are actually sticking around at home here for Mcanning, and he's going to be getting up a 5th and 6th adept. This Zombie Grub, this is going to get a bit dicey here for Mcanning.
He should be okay with Defender's Advantage still kicking in, since DisK's proxy pylon was actually not used for his other two stalker warp-ins. I think Mcanning is okay. Actually, more than okay, now he's got a shield battery on the way. And it's now time for DisK to, I guess, maybe really evaluate if he wants to commit to this. Like, scorping in stalkers. He's caught by doing that. There's more stalkers on the way, something that Mcanning doesn't really know about quite yet. And this has turned into DisK's favor. Mcanning's now going to try and shade back home after preparing to shade aggressively. And, well, 5 of the adepts will be okay, and more warp-ins are coming. I think he's still okay, but man, DisK with the at-home warp-in to the proxy warp-in.
Shield. Oh, no shield battery overcharge. I actually really feel like if you really just wanted to hard shut this down, a shield battery overcharge, there it is. And then the following warp-in should be okay, but DisK actually does warp in 2 more stalkers here. So he is going to be committing a tiny bit more to this. The thing is that Mcanning has his robo finished up, so he should be able to start up that first immortal. Once that first immortal pops, like, this gets hard shut down.
I don't mind that DisK is even sticking around, with the adept numbers clearly having to stay at home now, since DisK has just worked in so many stalkers. Like, the adepts can't threaten the shade around anymore. They actually aren't winning the fight anymore. A second shield battery is here.
Uh-oh, there's only one pylon.
Yeah, oh no. I mean, the immortal will save the day, right? But DisK is just getting ahead. There's so many reactions from Mcanning.
He's gonna kill both of the shield batteries as well, potentially. Doesn't manage to get the kill on the other one. Oh, those sentry force fields, and the probe's even creating a bit of a force field as well. delaying them from moving out to the Immortal, doing quite a bit of damage over here. And it might, like you said, be enough to save Mcanning from dying. But man, that got dicey, Zombie Grub. And man, did Mcanning lose a lot over there.
He didn't really get to do his version of this PvP. He wanted to be the guy that made tough decisions happen with his adepts. And, you know, even ideally catch DisK by surprise, get a couple sentries, get into the main base. But DisK had his own plans. He wanted to go for the aggressive blink, the proxy pylon, where you still have only 2 gateways. But by committing to warp-ins over and over again, you really are making it aggressive. DisK got to his own robo back at home and a much faster forward. So he's up to +1 already. And it looks like he might just be going ahead and going up to a regular game with an Immortal on the way. I think that might be charged from the Twilight Council. Not the blink games you're so used to. Oh, what?
Mcanning with a cheeky probe. Cheeky, Kalaris. Couple of probes for Mcanning are going down inside the main base because some adepts did manage to make their way in. But man, that probe, is it get, okay. Is DisK going to notice it as he throws down 2 gateways here?
I don't think you do.
Yeah, because I think the way that you usually do this, for those who don't know, like you start building the gateways and then you just go look away. You just assume the gateways are being built. So DisK is probably not going to look over there. He's busy dealing with using his warp prism harassment, killing off a couple of workers, loses 1 adept. Mcanning going to be able to push him back. DisK actually getting a bit supply block after losing that pylon, and just now starts up another pylon. Luckily, his gateway flood is not hitting just yet, so he can still just invest his resources elsewhere, but is a bit painful.
Yeah, actually does go into blink. I thought with the Immortal, he might be going more of a standard build, but I guess he was a little afraid of maybe a counter. The Immortal feels like more safe than actually like part of his composition. What are you laughing at?
It's just all of the gateways, like every single new building that DisK has made has been in range of that probe. It's literally like, all right, what's the next thing I'm gonna make? Let me build it in this corner over here, which will be very difficult to scout because it's tucked away in my main base. Like the probe
I
is
thought
just
that
chilling.
Mcanning was gonna try and go into a dark shrine to abuse that probe, but maybe he's also forgotten about the probe. That might be the case.
Maybe. You think the can would forget a man? The can does not can any of his employees, all right? Can is a man of the people.
What about all those adepts?
Those adepts got warped back to Ire.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
it's a big stalker attack, and they have +1 already. Mcanning is working on his own blink and also trying to get the disruptors, which we all know Mcanning is very good with. But DisK has a good army supply, a single Immortal to help out as well. He's looking to cancel that third Nexus, which I believe he will. I don't know if Mcanning can really stop this.
It's definitely going to be a very, very tough hold. There is a disruptor out, but I'm not sure where it is. Oh, no, sorry. It's still in production. Oh, man. Yeah, that is a tough situation. Third base, like you said, going to get canceled. Now, DisK is going to have the opportunity to poke forward at the natural, but I think as soon as you see that disruptor, you really, really got to be careful about this because, yes, the Stalkers can blink back. Yes, the Immortal and the Sentry can be picked up. But messing around with Mcanning and disruptors is a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, Mcanning, I mean, he was one of the original, finally. He was one of the original disruptor users, and you always paired it up with Dark Shrine. So now that's a totally expected thing to do, and Mcanning kind of started it. So there's no doubt about his control of his disruptors, but there's a little more doubt as to the control of the game. Maybe it's a little over-aggressive from DisK, especially that looked like missed micro there. He's now fallen behind in army supply and is fallen behind in the disruptor race. He doesn't have his own Dark Shrine either, but a couple drops in the main base. A Sentry? What?
Yeah, I mean, these are the only units that could not blink out with the rest of the units against the Blink Stalkers. So I think that's why he just loaded those 2 up. But Immortal going down. Oh, no. That's actually a big misplay over there. And even the Warp Prism's actually in range right now with the Stalkers. DisK is going to try and poke forward while Mcanning might be a bit distracted, but Mcanning already has the rest of his units moving forward. Zombie Grub, I'm going to say something, and I swear to God, I am actually not memeing right now. I actually legitimately, of the games I watch of Mcanning, if he gets up to 3 disruptors, I actually think if you looked at his like replay analysis of all the tournament matches, all the ladder matches and stuff he plays, once he gets up to 3 disruptors minimum, his win rate like triples. It is like actually up. It has to be up at like 80, 85, 90%.
I'll believe you.
Yeah. For now. I'm just saying, like, he's actually getting to that point now with his third disruptor now out. So it's gonna become a really, really tough game, I feel like, for DisK. Even if he's been able to take some really good trades, he's got a worker advantage. It just does get complicated.
I do like Mcanning's setup a lot more. DisK was maybe a little too over-aggressive with his stalkers, has lost that lead, and then wasn't very quick to his Dark Shrine, but he was quick to predicting the Dark Shrine. Cannons are already prepared. He sees the Shimmer, it looks like, or that was coincidental. Yeah. Saw the Shimmer. There you go. Very nice hold so far. Even with this happening, it could have been one DT in every mineral line. Is the scarier thing than losing a pylon for production.
Yeah, well, thankfully, DisK was actually respecting the DTs, had a cannon and a shield battery in a lot of those mineral lines, so was prepared, is going to get up a Dark Shrine of his own as well as that charge and +2 weapons upgrade. The weapons upgrade is actually going to be really big because Mcanning has not started a +2 at all, and +2 weapons can actually help out a little bit, I think, with the number of stalkers you need to kill a disruptor. So the number of stalkers you need to blink forward and snipe off enemy disruptors, make sure you don't just die, can make a big difference there.
That's a good point. DisK is always going to have that for, I mean, at least until +3 finishes up, and maybe even talk about shields, maybe later on. But Mcanning, can he show his disruptor control? He's got 5 disruptors to DisK's 4. DisK has a little bit more of the map presence with his army out on Mcanning's side of the map, but Mcanning has access to those DTs. Just 1 right now, attacking a would-be 4th base, so they're still stuck on 3. I don't know if DisK really wants to move in here. Lordy, that looked a little bit late.
Yeah, that is a scary thought right there. DisK is pushing forward some of these disruptors. Gonna get the first shot off. Gets another one, zoning Mcanning back, but really zoning out a retreat at this point. Mcanning blinks forward with one stalker just to get a confirmed scout to see. Yes, all of the stalkers went to the low ground. I think one of the differences here is that DisK is oftentimes using these disruptor shots to zone out where Mcanning could move. Mcanning is using his disruptors. Oh my god, that disruptor flank. He's gonna come in. Stalkers just used their blink. He's gonna, oh, he was expecting that the stalkers would move up immediately. That actually could have been a sick play.
And he might have gotten the disruptors too, but they're just a little far out of reach. He did end up trading out Bitter with the disruptor from the top.
It's not getting picked off though.
But yeah, did DisK not notice that? I don't
think he noticed it.
Wow.
Well, the stalkers have blink off cooldown, so he should be still okay. There it is. Now he blinks forward and snipes it off.
All right.
Oh, that could have been disastrous. But hey, another shutdown on that 4th base with a DT.
And I think it's been shutting it down, so finally cleared up, and now the 4th base can commence. But DisK knows that Mcanning also doesn't have a 4th base, so it's still pretty even there. DisK still has an army supply lead, but of 20, that doesn't mean you can just jump on top of all the disruptors that Mcanning has. It's still going to be a longer game yet. And DisK is already preparing a little bit for that. I guess with the 4th base now maybe actually up and running, he feels confident to add on a Stargate. At least start the process to eventual carriers or Tempests.
Yeah, another nice thing you can go into, but I think when you already have disruptors of your own to control and blink stalkers, it's a little bit much to ask APM wise, but you could start it off by making a few Phoenix, lifting up your opponent's disruptors and just like canceling the shots as like a last minute thing. But it is a lot to ask for when you have this kind of army. Like that is a lot for even the best Protoss players in the world to control.
Well, maybe a little bit more of that stalemate, as they both just really can't commit to an actual fight. Maybe you take some shots, maybe it's a bit interesting, maybe it's a bit scary, but you don't actually want to commit. I love the movements of individual stalkers from both of these players. DisK had a stalker to the right looking for surprise disruptors. Mcanning has done the same thing in the past. And now he's actually taking a very aggressive stance. He blinks forward with half of his stalkers. Disruptors not going to be able to hold the right side for Mcanning, but the left side, oh my good god, DisK almost lost a good chunk of disruptors, but now he's holding Mcanning's own choke against him. With the number of disruptors DisK has, I mean, how does Mcanning actually jump on top of this?
This is so difficult. I almost wonder if he needs to recall or something over to the natural just to get the full surround here. Chargelet's warping in on the side where the disruptors are. That's actually a really nice move. He snipes off one of the disruptors, but these disruptors from DisK, they are just staying further behind so that they can zone out these stalkers. And at the end of the day, all DisK has to do is trade out somewhat okay. He is killing all of the production. He's killing all of the mining over here. He can recall out a portion of the army if he really needs to, but he's doing a great job just keeping Mcanning pinned back in here.
Yeah, they both are on a bit of a reduced disruptor count, so they got to be keeping track of each other's.
Yeah.
But it is going to be a recall out of most of the army. And aggressively forward, he's going to sacrifice the stalkers. He had to leave behind to take out every disruptor he can possibly find. An excellent maneuver there from DisK. Absolutely game-ending, I think. He's now doubling the supply of Mcanning. And that's after taking down all of Mcanning's disruptors.
And like, there are miracle comebacks that can happen in PvP, but when you're on 22 workers, you lost all but one disruptor. Even if you have an equalish number of stalkers, the can gets canned. DisK takes game number 1. Wow. Zombie Grip, that was the 10% right there. That was the 10%. Mcanning losing a disruptor war. And it's all about what you were talking about, the single stalkers that move forward and everything. It's a vision game. That's what Stalker Disruptor is actually about. It's vision and then execution on that vision. And Mcanning didn't have vision or didn't see that the army was moving up his ramp while he was moving off to the left.
I think even more accurately, he didn't realize his third base had been scouted by a single stalker. Like, I don't think many Protosses assume that DisK maneuvers over to the right when it has to go up a ramp into a high ground into a base that could have reinforcing disruptors, right? Like that might have been the biggest thing. Because he did see the army and he had to chase it, that was the whole problem. But going up the ramp, that's always supposed to be dangerous. It's supposed to be basically a no-go zone. But DisK was able to scout ahead, and that was really nicely done. Stargate's also, I think, it'd become a bigger deal because of what you just said. Like, it's so much about a vision game. Like, literally, you have to have vision against the DTs that always make an impact in those types of games. And then second of all, I think you need that vision for the main army. I think faster Stargates for literally 1 or 2 oracles is probably going to be the next step of Blink Disruptor evolution. But that's the, didn't even need to be had by DisK. He didn't even need to get to his actual Stargate units. He went before that.
Yeah, man, I have to say, like, I want to give a bit more credit also to DisK on the fact that he is 1-3 in the groups. That looks like a really ugly score. It looks like, oh man, DisK is just getting creamed right now. But let me roll through his bracket so far. He beats Cuddlebear. Awesome. Like, Cuddlebear is actually a solid Terran player, a little bit underrated, but yeah, beats Cuddlebear. Then has to face off against Neeb, Silky, and Scarlet. Those are what most people consider the 3 biggest hard hitters in the group. And now he faces off versus Mcanning, who's another potential hard hitter. But if DisK takes this, there's a chance for him to start bouncing back in this group. There's and really showcasing that he is actually a solid player here.
Yeah, it's so funny because usually it'd be like, well, then DisK could definitely make 4th, right? And still get out of the group. But now Mcanning is like solidly in the top 4, unless he literally loses like all of the rest of his series. So I guess that could theoretically start here. But yeah, I mean, if DisK were to make it out, he'd basically have to hope that I guess maybe Silky doesn't make it out. That would make the most sense because we don't assume, we're never going to assume that Neeb and Scarlet don't make it out, right?
Not yet.
I mean, I guess, there's been questionable performances by both of them, I guess, right? But my point is that DisK, like, he would have to start the victory here and then kind of hope that Mcanning and Silky don't do well, right? So it sucks when that happens, but if you can just like kind of forget about the group standings and just focus on a PvP, which I believe these guys absolutely can, yeah, DisK can take on Mcanning. Of course he can.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand side of the map. The red Protoss player felt like he was winning a little bit too much. Decided, you know what? I got to remain the underdog here. I'm going to give my opponent a game so that people forget I was undefeated. It is Mcanning.
He's just setting up the hype storyline. That's what you said, Pure Dragon.
Yeah.
In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, he is Roots Gaming's DisK.
Now, I actually want to make a quick mention because everybody knows Mcanning, the streamer who also is like, quote unquote a pro player and everything, is competitive at that top level with a lot of the NA players at this point and has been for a little bit, has been able to take series and stuff off of Neeb. DisK, definitely the lesser known one, but he actually also is one of those very consistent streamers, putting in a lot of hours and everything. Has a really great educational style stream. Mcanning's got the hype. Mcanning's got the moves and everything. He's got a very flashy playstyle and everything. DisK, one of those players that actually I feel like if you're looking for a solid, like, later time period NA streamer or Protoss to watch and learn from, really actually a good player to actually watch and has a pretty solid stream.
Yeah. In this day and age, almost like, I can't think of a person who doesn't stream at all. Even Sarah occasionally does stream, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of our, like, you know, top, I don't know, 10% of pros, top 20% of pros that would usually just like never stream or would heavily debate streaming. Like they just do it.
Look at
especially when it comes
that
to
acceleration on the spray, not dropping a single kilometer per hour because we're in Europe. Oh, no, sorry, we're in North America. Mile per hour.
Jesus. Anyways, but especially North America can have a lot of those streamers. So really important that you bring up the acceleration and the sprays for the third time.
Absolutely. I mean, it's honestly one of the most impressive aspects of Mcanning's play, the spray game. But I agree with you. I think one of the things that Mcanning likes to, sorry, this is not leading into a meme. One of the things Mcanning actually really likes to talk about on like a serious note is that it's one of the things he's the proudest of is he credits himself as, and I think this might, as far as I'm aware, this is true. He is the only professional level player that started as a streamer, like primarily just a streamer, and made it to the competitive level. All of the other pro level player like competitors have started as a pro player, or that was their big dream, and then they got good and then they started streaming and maybe started switching over or focused a bit more on that. Mcanning really credits himself as being like one of the most unique cases of someone that was a streamer and became competitive.
I think he's right about that too. You could argue that there are some people who became pros after maybe a stint of streaming, you know? Like 5 years ago, they were kind of streaming to not very many viewers, and then they stopped, and then they came back, and they actually just put in hours working for the professional side of things. But I don't think you can argue that someone very similar to Mcanning, who is just like a full-time, crazy hour streamer, eventually just got better and better. So I think he's right about that one. We did have a more defensive macro opener from DisK. He took the chance to go for the Sentry Stalker opener, which gives him a very nicely timed hallucinated Phoenix to see what his opponent is doing. Probably taking advantage of the map a little bit and just, you know, that Mcanning, if he was going to do something, it wasn't going to be super, super early. And he's right about that, but something is absolutely happening. You still have to really take seriously these 8 adepts. But I think he's fine. Just by scouting that they're on the way is already such a powerful thing.
Yeah, Shield Battery's not quite finished up just yet, and without the additional reinforcements coming in immediately, it does get a little bit tricky, but Mcanning moves in. He sees the hint of a couple of stalkers, but I want to note the vision for those adept shades is not exactly massive, so you don't necessarily know how many stalkers there are. There could be more right at the top of the ramp. There could be a few more like there instead of a sentry and stuff, so I do understand why Mcanning's also being a bit respectful about this and not just immediately shading in.
And in fact, DisK is even telling him a bit of a lie, honestly. Like, he does have more stalkers and more units in that main. And not necessarily because he's afraid of a Stargate. He got a full scout with a Phoenix, but because he's prepared to, you know, maybe accidentally let the Adepts through. At this point, if the Adepts do get through, they're not close to a mineral line enough to really be threatening. So I'm going to probably have to hold on to these for a while before they really find any good damage. DisK would maybe want to think about a Resonant Glaze follow-up and scout for that too, but the Adept shade into the natural, I was talking about the main, like 2 probes being exactly what they want to sacrifice themselves for.
I think it was a momentary mistake there for Mcanning, because I think what happened was he shaded forward, he saw probes being transferred there. And you'd think like, okay, I can right click down these probes and everything. But the awkward thing was that the stalkers and the adepts were all so clumped up on top of the probes that he physically could not right click down a lot of those probes. Like there was a single pixel he had to click for each one of those probes, and it was just not easy. So I think that might be what happened there.
Probably. I can't think that he was gonna, you know, take on those stalkers. So
yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost, you know, it's almost guaranteed they're gonna be able to escape at least some of them, because just like they don't die that easily. So he might have also just been weighing the benefits, because the adepts are gonna get much, much worse as time goes on. And he was like, you know what, if I sacrifice 4 of them for maybe at least 5 or 6 probes, that'd be okay. Unfortunately, he didn't even get that. As we move on, it's DisK going for the faster 3rd Nexus. He already has Blink, so that's kind of his prerogative to get that faster 3rd base, faster economy. And then he's actually on par with Mcanning's +1 this game. So that's a big change up from last. And Mcanning, not headed towards a 3rd as quickly, is adding on 3 Immortals to his composition.
Yeah, 3 Immortals and a quick, good old Robotics Bay. Mcanning not happy with how disruptors ended up getting the better of him actually in that last series. So maybe he wants to turn things around, say, no, buddy, this is my unit. Gonna reclaim that title. But we'll see how fast he's actually going to try and go into all those. The robotic space finished up. Observer is going to be popping on out. I imagine we're going to see, yeah, first disruptor on its way.
Not surprised to see Disruptor Wars once again. I am a little bit more surprised by Mcanning's build-up to Disruptor Wars, but he put himself kind of in an awkward position, having to transition out of the Adept opener. That really wasn't successful as far as the damage done or even the fear factor. Like DisK just handled it very well. So he had to kind of be a little more cautious, take a bit of a hit on his economy, and now he has to live with it. But I say I hit to his economy. He's a later third, but actually more probes. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's actually been up in supply for a little bit now because of that.
Yeah.
Gonna find a few stalkers in the center, but DisK is on point with that control. Managed to get a pick off on a stalker for free. Dodged out of the way of the Immortals. Nicely controlled there. DisK really actually showing up today, I have to say.
Playing very well. He would have had a lot more stalkers than Mcanning, and while Mcanning would have had the Immortals to really pack a punch, it just... I mean, there's a reason that Blink Stalkers have really become the thing to go for. Even though we do occasionally see the classic charge lot Immortal Archon approach, correct Blink Stalker usage, like what DisK has been showing us, can look just a lot more powerful. So Mcanning, he's going to have the Immortals for some of the later engagements, and they can actually make a big difference. I mean, either that or they get popped off by disruptors and you're like, oh, okay, bye Immortals, come back later. So it's either or, but you know, they stop kind of aggressive blinks on top of the army. They can even station around a base if you get to like really long games and try to hold on against the counterattacks. But theoretically, as the game goes on, those Immortals become less useful.
Yeah, definitely going to be something that will probably help out in the earlier stages, like you said, but might have trouble later. Now, this Adept is going to get a scout out on the Stalkers, getting ready to blink up to the main base. That's pretty obvious with the Hallucinate Phoenix also joining that army. Depowering two of the gateways as well. And remember that, yes, the Stalkers can blink past the wall, but Mcanning doesn't actually use the Stalkers like that. He's getting ready with the Disruptors to try and Disruptor shot the Stalkers after they blink down, but he messes it up. There's two Stalkers down there on the low ground that body block him out. He's going to lose another Disruptor there. That's two Disruptors down. And Mcanning doesn't even have a Disruptor lead anymore.
I don't know if DisK did that on purpose, but body blocking those Disruptors was amazing. Like, as in, like, I don't know if he microed against them or it was just a simple hold position and then the AI of StarCraft derped. He's like, why didn't the damn Disruptors just go around? But that ended up being unexpectedly sick. Excellent blink into the main and grab on the Disruptors. Mcanning still has a decent army, still has 4 Disruptors, nothing that's going to cause the end of the game for him. He's actually taking a more interesting fourth. I don't know if DisK is going to scout immediately. He might get the wrong perception of this game with his last scout on the more usual fourth.
All right. Or Prism makes its way into the main base for a moment. Decides not going to be a great opportunity with the quick warp-ins there for DisK in reaction. Zealot's also getting denied over here. I have to say, this kind of harassment, the DTs that we saw in the last game, the Zealot run bys, the Warp Prism harass, that's actually what was some of the most impressive aspects of Mcanning's play in the PvZs he played versus Silky as well as Scarlet. So I think that not being able to make any of that stuff work in this PvP against DisK, it is kind of a big blow. It feels like that was some of the biggest playmaker like moves that Mcanning was making in those series.
I do wish that DisK would get a Dark Shrine as well. I mean, he got it later last game. Yeah. But he didn't get using it, and then in this game, he's just not getting it at all. So,
DisK is what I like to call the honorable Protoss player. He'll make Dark Templar, but like if you actually watch a stream, he literally has, I think, one of those channel point redemption things where it's like Cannon Rush, 99 million points. He just doesn't like cannon rushing. Doesn't usually make tons of Dark Templar or anything. He'll make some, but he does like the macro DTs. So he's an honorable Protoss.
Sounds like my type of Protoss.
Yeah,
except on Wednesdays.
Except on your whiny Wednesdays, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I once again like this position better for Mcanning just based off of experience watching him with Disruptors and Dark Shrine.
9 DTs. I've seen 9 DTs and Blink
It's a lot
to
of
finish
DTs.
up for Mcanning. I think he's going to go for the base snipe at the same time that these stalkers make their way over here to the bottom right-hand side. Disruptor shot zones back a few units there. But the DTs come charging on in, and by charging on in, I mean blinking on in. These cannons in a really, really nice spot. That shield battery overcharge is not going to be enough against the raw might of Blink DTs, and they are going to be able to snipe off a lot of that base. Recall is forced to be used, but Zombie Grub, oh my god, I was going to say, if Mcanning had right-clicked down, he could have actually blunk in and target fired down like 2 of the Disruptors, but that is a bit much to ask because he was also making his push out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. So DisK makes the right call by retreating back to his base and cleaning that up before it really got bad. 14 probes is recoverable, losing 26 plus the Nexus, not as much. And he can also refocus, hopefully, on the main engagement. But I say hopefully. He does find 2 Disruptors. That's nice, but more DTs are headed into that third base that has yet to have stack defense made. And Mcanning is hitting his 4th. DisK has got to admit that he's going into a base trade. He caught 2 Disruptors, but then the next 2 Disruptors... All right, one got a shot, but the other one did not. How many more Disruptors are we talking about? Mcanning at 5, DisK at 10, but how many are back at home? DisK only has 2 Disruptors back at home.
Zombie Grub, there is one massive issue also with DisK's plan over here, and that's the fact that Mcanning has one, or actually there's 2 issues. One is that Mcanning has DTs in a base trade, which is the ideal. The second is that Mcanning has a recall available, DisK does not.
That might change. I mean, it seems to be going on for a little while longer. Good split there. Only lost 1 Disruptor to the potentially last reinforcing Disruptor of Mcanning. His Robos are potentially going to be, I mean, they definitely are being just controlled. They should go down. Oh, God. How does Mcanning break this high ground? There's so many Disruptors up there.
Oh, man. I think Mcanning missed his opportunity to go for the recall. He walked his army back home. Now the Zealots and DTs are going to try and move into the natural over here of DisK, but DisK has an Observer and a lot of units over here. The DTs will trade out a little bit, but not very well.
I like the, Habit Guardian Shield against the melee units.
Look, they feel range when they blink, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, DisK controlling Mcanning's main base feels like it ends up being more powerful, but Mcanning has another 3 bases that he could choose to rebuild from, and it ends up being the base that DisK does know about, but is going to be difficult to reach. It's the farthest away from his current army. At this point, DisK should have a recall, right? And that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, he's probably going to last long enough to have a recall. So he could just recall, what, 70% of that army, maybe?
At least the Disruptors.
Exactly.
Yeah, at least the Disruptors and maybe like, I don't know, 25, 40% of the...
Oh my god!
Oh, okay, well, never mind. I guess you just you know what, Zombie Grub, you just recall the Stalkers, all right? They deserved it. They survived this long. Oh my god, Mcanning with a clutch Disruptor shot. You were talking about the economies. Like, those Disruptors are not replaceable for DisK. He's making 2 at a time back at home, but that's because he's not making any other units right now.
Well, oh my god. He just lost 3 Disruptors there. Mcanning is down to 2 Disruptors, and his economy is not the problem, it's his production. He does have 2 Robos. Actually, I think he has a 3rd one? No, I'm looking at DisK. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, good blink forward there from Mcanning to take out the remaining Disruptors. Sorry, Mcanning does have a Robo, but he lost his Robotics Bay, lost his Dark Shrine, his Twilight Council. He actually replaced them X-Core, looks like once over. He's got 2 of them.
Built them both at the same time, too.
I guess he just maybe thought the natural would be lost. Oh, it's at his 3rd. I don't know what that was. Yeah. But anyways, he can't rebuild because he doesn't have the production. DisK can't rebuild because he doesn't have a lot of economy, but he was able to afford 2 more Disruptors. He's going to go up to 5 Disruptors to Mcanning's 2. Like,
oh, this is gonna be a really, really important moment for DisK. He is finding this army a bit out of position. The Disruptors, one of them was getting focused fire down by a charge lot. DisK manages to save it, but it is severely weakened. I want to note that matters because the Stalker is going for a right click down, a blink forward on the Disruptors. That can make or break the difference there. Not having those shields, not having that hit points available.
There are some DTs left over for DisK, or for Mcanning, that is entering into, oh my god, I don't know what it was, but that just freaks me the hell out. The aggressive Stalker blinks for both parties. I don't know who's going to go better for it. Looks like maybe for Mcanning with the help of the charge lots as well.
Yeah.
And the blinking away from the Disruptors, the charge lots actually being really key here, getting so many swipes off. You don't really want to use the Disruptor shot on the Zealots. I think they've done it. I think Mcanning has won despite having less Disruptors.
And there you have it. Mcanning says, no. You do not win in a Disruptor war versus the can. moves across the map, is going to be able to try and shut down DisK. But even if he trades out evenly, Mcanning is mining, DisK, quite frankly, is just not. And oh man, that disruptor shot is gonna land with the stalker's already using it. Blink forward aggressively. Mcanning has done it, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get a tied up series of 1-1. We're getting another game 3 here, Zombie Grub.
Can you believe those were the immortals from the very beginning that I said would probably be useless as the game went on? Oh my god. They actually were so helpful. Without those 3 immortals, this might have been more of a questionable engagement for Mcanning. But with the immortals and the DTs, with the observer having been sniped, I don't see the second one. Yeah, the second one's all the way over there. Yeah, Mcanning has won it. Oh, what a game, though.
What a game. What a game. Yeah. GG. Game 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the can, he lives to make you sweat. He lives to make you sweat. He lives on the edge of your seat. Because, ladies and gentlemen, after a short break, guys, we're going to move into game number 3 of this epic PvP.
Hello, welcome back. This is my cat that production would really like you to see, and this is his fuzzy belly.
Aww.
And now we're getting into game 3 of this fuzzy wuzzy game, PvP.
Yeah, that's exactly the sort of mood that I was feeling right now about this series thus far. It's fuzzy wuzzy friendship stuff as we move on to Death Aura. Yeah. Exactly. Encapsulated the mood there, Zombie Grub. Big fan. Big fan.
You're welcome. Yeah. All right. Big question. Who do you think is going to win? gonna win? Who's gonna win? Mcanning or DisK? Oh, that's DisK. He put the
That's
DisK
DisK?
up. That was DisK.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, it turns out that Ziggy the Cat knows just about as much about StarCraft as Ziggy the European player who's not playing that. I'm sorry, shots fired. Oh my God, sorry, that was a little too savage. That was too savage. We're moving to game 3. Woo! I love you, Ziggy. You're actually really fun to watch play. Up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, the red Protoss player, the sensation, Mcanning.
I get like second-hand burns right now. Like, my God. In the bottom right, there's a blue Protoss. It is DisK.
Ziggy's actually a super cool player, guys, and you should definitely root for him, and I really enjoy his gameplay. But I needed to make that burn in order to burn Zombie Grub there, all right? And to gas up the can, okay? It was necessary. Well, it was a necessary casualty.
I thought you were gonna say that Ziggy the Cat knows as much about StarCraft as, you know, his human owner. I was prepared to be personally offended, but now I'm just like offended for someone else.
Yeah, that's fair. Over the line a little. All right. So, the series so far, we have seen a lot of adept openings from the can. And DisK has been going for a lot of those quick stalker openings and pushing across the map, poking forward, putting pressure on. We are maybe going to finally see a proxy coming out over here from DisK this game, though. No? Sending the probe around. All right. It's the fake.
Yep, that should be the fake. And it shouldn't be for the stalker warp-ins either. You know, what he did in the first game, he would be a bit closer and probably on the left high ground. But that should... It could freak Mcanning out a little bit, for exactly the reason I said.
I know he was sending the probe back in the same direction, so I thought maybe. Okay. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted because I was watching Mcanning throwing down the sprays one by one without even losing a single beat of momentum there for that probe.
So he's saying is that as soon as he messes up his probe micro, he's gonna lose a game. He's gonna lose a series.
No, I'm saying that he has so much APM, so much potential, so much raw firepower and sexual appeal. He will never lose either of those.
Raw sexual appeal because of his gliding probe. You know what the ladies like if you're checking.
He knows how to build momentum, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well then, Mcanning is going to look around for the proxy. Eventually, he's going to have to just admit defeats and also eventually find out that the Nexus is down and that it was indeed the fake pylon.
Yeah, he will in fact not DisK cover that proxy pylon from DisK, but proxy pylon can still be used for even adept like warp-ins and stuff if he wants to put on a little bit of pressure later on. Obviously, it's been all about the stalkers and the sentries over here, and both these players are going to have a sentry available, at least one, to try and get up some of those hallucinating Phoenix scouts. And a little unfortunate scouting there for Mcanning.
Yeah, at this point, you should know that it wasn't anything serious, but it's always nice to take out a pylon. Maybe that's for adepts later, right? Maybe we get into another sick base trade and it becomes a base race and it's the last building on the map and he barely holds on to it. Probably not.
Could be, but probably not, because I agree. The can would find it and kill it.
Hey, man.
Robos for both these players. We do have a couple of adepts being warped in over here for both players, which are just going to be nice. They're kind of poking around, getting some scouting information that maybe the Resident Glaives, or sorry, not Resident Glaive, that the Phoenix doesn't actually end up scouting. So, this is an awkward turn of events.
Yep, not going to scout it. Well, they're not going to scout each other. So, so see who's paying attention to their wall. The Robo's coming down. I do feel like it kind of makes sense. Like, Mcanning could do a fast Dark Shrine build, and while he isn't, I do respect DisK's choice not to go right after that Blink in the Twilight console. Although it's been something he's been getting ahead on in a lot of the games. Actually, this might be more interesting than just him playing it safe. Depths you get into the main, but I'm not sure. Oh, no, I thought he messed up the force field. Not.
Yeah. I almost wonder if it's better. Would you prefer when you're playing Protoss? Because I know you actually off race and play all 3 races. do you prefer like getting 2 probes or getting a sentry? Because I feel like I would prefer just at that point go for the sentry.
The sentry, yeah, that's usually what's agreed upon to be better. That's 100 gas, man.
Yeah.
100.
Expensive.
That's a lot of probes going through the assimilator.
Yeah. Well, both players are going to be able to keep all 3 of their sentries alive and continuously hallucinate Phoenix Scout. But it is going to be DisK that got out that Warp Prism nice and quick, sending it out across the map. Oh, potentially on a collision pattern with this Warp or this hallucinating Phoenix. So it's going to be a nice scout there for Mcanning, catching this in advance.
Yeah, it actually really is nice. I saw that Warp Prism being made and I was like, oh, is this something spicier? But it really was just for the little bit of harassment. He was pretty insistent in the first game too, after the Blinks or the regular Stalker attack.
The Sentry Immortal.
No, not the Sentry Immortal. The Stalker attack from DisK? That he dropped the Sentry Immortal. Yeah,
you're still talking about the Warp Prism, like insisting that I would do damage here.
No. He made a Warp Prism and then got a couple of depths in first before that happened.
That is true.
I thought you were talking like you just like misremembered game 1 as the Max Packs game, and I was like,
oh yeah.
Your brain works in mysterious ways.
Trust me, there is a great distinction as soon as we move into North America. My eyes widen, the monster kicks in. It's all good.
Of course.
Oh, nice little shade-in over here for DisK. Gonna be able to find 2 pro kills so far. Sentry of the Force Field is going to be able to knock down the opportunity for these Adepts to survive a little bit longer and try and get that shade off into the main base. But it's all light bits of damage for both sides. And it's going to be good scouting over here for Mcanning, catching that Templar Archives being made with another Robo Bay coming up here for Mcanning. It's going to be a difference from some of these previous games. It's Charge Lot Immortal Archon versus Blink Stalker Disruptor.
Wouldn't be surprised if DisK kind of hoped there wouldn't be a scout on it for a little while. But you kind of have to admit that at a certain point in PvP, there's going to be just a bunch of Phoenixes all around all the time. Same as Mcanning kind of has to admit that, but I think the difference is that Mcanning, Zarkon was scouted.
Yeah.
So is that it's a part of his playstyle anyway. It's not a risky gambit. It's something that, pretty much always pays off if we're talking about more of a macro game, which this is. But now we get into the Blink Disruptor versus regular Charger Archon discussion. This, at one point, was what Mcanning was always facing. He was the guy going Disruptor, and everyone else was doing the Charge Lot Immortal Archon. He should know what to do against this, but that doesn't mean that he's always going to be super, well prepared. He could still die to it. The Charge Lots really complicate matters with the Disruptors. The Immortals, because it's mostly Stalkers, they actually get to do their damage they would want. And the Archons, well, they can actually survive a couple Disruptor shots and really provide a backbone to the army. You move into that? I don't know about that, DisK.
It gets really, really dicey. I think if you had another round of the Charge Lot Warping already done, I'd maybe feel it. But yeah, I think you hit all the key points there. And this is actually the army composition that originally got Blink Stalker Disruptor faded out of the meta. Oh, Mcanning does manage to get the Warp Prism in time. Now it's going to be about dealing with all these Charge Lots, which is definitely not an easy task. But I want to note a Dark Shrine did finish here. So a DT Warping or 2 from Mcanning in the main, while also using the Disruptor to annihilate the army of DisK. That might be a good way to do this, but the DT is not getting warped in. He's just warping in more zealous to buy time, and he is going to be able to clean this up.
Yeah, unfortunately, the distraction did not work out in DisK's favor. He was too distracted by his own distraction.
Yeah.
To avoid the Disruptor, the single Disruptor, too. So he was really hoping that would maybe get the edge of an Archon or absolutely nothing. And he can at least still posture. I don't think he ever has a chance to move in, Disruptor or no. There's just a little bit too much there, but he was not prepared, not want to lose those frontline units. DisK is going to move on to his own Disruptors, and I do believe he'll add on his own Blink, too. Occasionally do see these starts like this, and it is worth getting your own Blink, but it's taken a while. He's even released a Supply Block now.
Absolutely. It's going to be pretty tough for him to actually get to that point now, but especially with losing those pylons, like you were saying, the Supply Block's going to hurt. But I was going to say, I feel like with the army composition from DisK, yeah, you have to sort of be at the forefront. You have to always be ready, because the second your opponent tries to do one of those move outs, that's when you have to pounce with Charge Lot Archon. You do not want to engage back at your own base where you are just doing the frantic warpings and everything. You want a big concave. DTs are going to be moving in, and they're actually catching DisK seconds before some of those cannons finish on up. Now, there is still the poke forward, and actually, I think he just recalled. I think he just recalled his entire army back home. Oh, man.
Yeah, you made an excellent point right there. Like, you do not want to be in the defender's seat when you are up against disruptors. You don't have enough room to maneuver back. And now Mcanning, with just the disruptors hitting right before the cannons were done, has got an opportunity to go out on the map. Now, DisK has defensive disruptors. He's going to have 3 by the time Mcanning pushes in, and that might be able to hold on for, you know, a decent amount of time, actually. But, well, if DisK was in position, maybe it could have held on, but DisK was not in position. He lost track of the army, has to cancel his 4th base, and now it's a little bit nicer for Mcanning to push into this.
Whoa!
A little bit.
Snagging 6 pros. That, whatever damage Mcanning gets over here, it is off the back of the 2 DTs, pulling DisK back, forcing him to recall, and then not having vision out. But this is nice. A 4 Zealot run by, but once again, defensive DTs so strong in this matchup.
DisK is not going into his own blink. I'm really worried about this. Like, if he got enough of an army and a big jump on his opponent, and he has a better concave, then yeah, I guess maybe his army is better. But that's really going to be tough to do.
Kills his own DTs there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know, man. Let's see if DisK can make his composition work. He's gonna go into his own Dark Shrine finally. He's a bit faster on that +3, but it's so much more about the disruptors. 4th base really needs to come up. In fact, DisK is going to double expand, something that Mcanning has scouted, so I don't think it's realistically going to happen. That one's got to be canceled for sure.
Yeah, there's only 1 observer on the map even right now, so he's really just relying on cannons and shield batteries to get detection of those other peripheral bases, and definitely not going to be there for the bases that haven't been established just yet. Mcanning, I mean, if he can continue to find ways to shut down and cancel the 4th base, he's going to be in an excellent spot moving forward. But I think this is finally going to be the end of him repeatedly canceling that 4th. DisK just has a few too many disruptors here and has his army in position.
I still wonder if DisK's composition is really going to be better. I mean, it's we don't usually see someone stick on this composition when things go into disruptor, but I do think it goes down to, can DisK get a good concave? Can he find Mcanning's army not being paid attention to, so that even if Mcanning throws literally every single disruptor shot out, it just won't have enough damage? Like, that could still happen. I just feel like it's so unlikely. I feel it's so much more likely Mcanning gets a choke on his side.
I think something that's actually really important for Mcanning to either do is like one of 2 things. Either start adding in like 9 disruptors is a lot. That's great, man. I actually think Colossus at this point, with how many charge lots you're up against, like the big fear is going to be that they get up right in front of you and you can't get effective disruptor shots off, right? So having Colossus, or add on your own Temple Archives. Like, yeah, you could also morph in the Archons with DTs. That's actually also fine. But he's not doing that yet, and that's a little bit concerning to me. Oh, Mcanning can't see it, though. Mcanning can't see the army.
Oh, jeez. But it's there. It is there.
Yeah.
Mcanning has 2, I mean, kind of equivalents to Baneling bombs almost, right? Like, he's got disruptors in the middle of the map and off to the right. He's going to have so much vision of the army, too, with a couple observers, a couple of DTs. That's what I was talking about. And DisK doesn't have any mobility. Like, he might not lose Archons to 1 disruptor, sure, but what about his disruptors?
Is he about to get flanked?
Oh my god.
Disruptor for Mcanning. He's not moving it forward from the backside just yet. He's leaving it there outside of that 3rd base. Zealot is going to spot out the army positioning, though. Mcanning, is he going to try and pounce over here? Oh, that disruptor might actually get discovered in a second. Because Mcanning is he's running in the middle of the DTs and the Zealots, and I actually think there's just enough surface area. He can kill off that cannon over here now. If he blinks the DT in. No, he's not.
He wanted to protect it because it was the only thing granting vision, right? So where's his next observer? It's with the army right now. He never built a second observer. He never built anything for his robo, despite having all those DTs on him, and DisK is losing 34 probes. Oh, and he's probably going to lose that 4th base. Oh, no, he's finally cleaned up. Okay.
Yeah. Because Mcanning, he morphed in the Archon as soon as the probes are blocking that cannon, so.
Jeez,
oh, man.
That's going to be vulnerable in the future.
DisK is about to fire back. He's actually jumping in on top of the army at the same time. A lot of those Zealots and DTs moving in on the north side. Mcanning gonna be able to snipe off a disruptor or 2 over here. He's really gonna need to rely on a big connection from this disruptor. He does manage to get it on the Archons, but that won't clean up the army at the same time. His top center base is taking a ton of damage from those DTs and Zealots.
Oh, DisK was actually a little bit late to moving his disruptors. Mcanning actually had a perfect, like, I mean, he looked at the future. He almost got all of DisK's disruptors, and he's chasing them. He's still chasing them. Mcanning's disruptors on top of this disruptor. I don't think DisK has noticed yet. Please, not like this. Oh, he noticed. He noticed. Okay, never mind. Back to the action. Back to this part of the fight. DPs are on top of Mcanning's army, and he had to go back to a cannon to get some visibility. They blink away onto Mcanning's 4th base. Wow, things have really turned around in this game.
Yeah, Mcanning and DisK are both gonna miss their disruptor shots that are sort of zoning things out. But now DisK says, well, if you're moving over to your bottom base, I'll just move up into your natural. And there's not a whole lot Mcanning can do about that right now. He has a disruptor up on the high ground that can at least zone units out of the main base. Mcanning also firing back with just DTs down on the south side of the map. And those cannons were never remade at the 3rd base. It's gonna turn into a weird DT base trade situation for Mcanning.
Yeah, he's got 2 observers. DisK has 2 observers back at home, so he saves his 4th and maybe he'll save his 3rd or vice versa, whatever you want to call it. Mcanning had 1 disruptor in the main. It looks like DisK isn't going to bother even trying to break up there without vision. He actually recalls to save all of his bases. It's now 4 bases to just 2 of Mcanning. Mcanning has 5 disruptors to make some magic with against DisK 7, but they're always all clumped up, and that's what I'm so worried about. Once again, they are clumped up and dragging behind the rest of DisK's army.
Yeah, Mcanning having to blink back against those disruptor shots. This is an incredibly tough position for Mcanning. He's down so much army supply at this point. And it's Archon Zombie Grub. It's just a lot of Archons here. DisK is not just going to keel over to 2-3 disruptor shots. This isn't one of those armies that, oh, the Stalkers get hit by disruptors and they all go down. This is a situation where those Archons will at least tank 3 or 4 disruptor shots. And they're so fat that they can't all get hit.
It's exactly what I was thinking. That's the problem, man. I can't believe he got this many Archons in a game like this. That's so much gas put into it, plus all the disruptors he also had. I mean, they'd have to all go through a choke, you know, and I mean, that is still possible. Now, Mcanning collected his disruptors. He's up to 8.
I think, okay, there is an opportunity. If DisK is still out of the map right now, he's still posted around the center. Mcanning moves in with the DTs over to the bottom left-hand base. Shield battery overcharge is going to try and save the day for a little bit, but Mcanning goes after the probes. Then really are not a lot of probes left over for either one of these players. Mcanning will end up losing these DTs, but he's also moving into the top right-hand 3rd base. Oh, disruptors from behind. DisK gets sniped off though. Okay, Mcanning has no retreat option anymore though. This is going to be a huge problem. He needs to abuse this choke point to the maximum of his potential.
He can't. The disruptors don't have any juice. They did. That's actually an arc of Archons from DisK. I think that's going to be it. Mcanning, his DTs have been cleaned up. His disruptor count is down to 1 and just 7 stalkers to help out, and he still hasn't cleaned up his natural base. DisK is finally going to get a victory here. Mcanning's going to lose his 1st series of the group.
The can about to get canned. Wow, the winning streak.
You know what?
Mcanning.
The can has been flattened into a disc.
Oh.
Oh, snap.